Denise French here, bringing you some information on businesses in divorce. So this week we have a couple business interests we're valuing, and those business interests happen to have something that's called personal goodwill. In the state of Texas, if you're getting divorced and you're the person who owns the company, a lot of the income from that company is attributable to them. That's personal goodwill. So for example, a pediatric neurologist that's a specialist in their area, that's written books, that is world-renowned, known as this pediatric neurologist that doctors refer to because of that person's education, that person's experience, that person's board certifications. That's personal goodwill. Conversely, if I have a physician that is, working for themselves, but they see people for the flu or COVID or well visits, and it's just not so much of a specialty, well, that may not be personal goodwill. If someone comes to that physician because they're on ZocDoc or they take all of the insurance and they're looking at that doctor based on insurance, who takes my insurance, well, that's not personal goodwill. That is more of an enterprise goodwill. So our first example with our specialist, the income stream attributable to that person's unique abilities, skills, knowledge is not divisible in divorce. But in our second example, that physician who receives patients because they take the right insurance and they're in the right zip code, well, that is a community asset to be divided. Conversely, you've got things like lawyers' offices. They're typically not divisible because if that lawyer is gone, then the business doesn't exist. However, it's important to look at, in cases like this, if you are the spouse of someone in that situation, it's still important to look at the assets of the business. Are they hiding extra cash in the business? That is definitely something to put on the inventory. If they've not taken all the cash out of the bank account that they could have for operating, or that they could have put into a retirement account or could have used on the community, well, that is definitely something that should go on the marital inventory and is divisible. You also want to look for prepaid taxes. A lot of times, as business owners, we are always worried about taxes. And in divorce, sometimes those taxes happen to get prepaid or paid more than we normally would have. So I always ask for an accounting of the balance sheet, and I always ask for, what have we paid into the IRS this year and last year? So important tips if you're dealing with someone, if you're in a divorce situation and your soon-to-be ex-spouse owns a business, 2 things to look for. Take care. Hope that helps.